It's time to hear it from Harlan. Utah Director of Athletics Mark Harlan takes you behind the scenes with the Utes, the Pac-12, and collegiate athletics. Now here's your host, Mike Lagerschul.
Welcome to the program. Coming up on the show, it's been a great fall sports season for the Utes. Two teams already advancing to NCAA postseason play. Two more highly ranked. We'll take a look back and a look ahead as winter sports get going. Mark will sit down with senior goalkeeper Carly Nelson of the women's soccer team to talk about their NCAA run. I will visit with Utah Director of Personal Development and Student Services, Ashley Lear, to talk about the newly launched Ute Academy. And in our final segment, Mark will talk about the latest developments on a conference and national level, and we'll get to some of your questions. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Always appreciate having the chance to get everyone caught up on all things Utah athletics.
Sure is. Been a fun fall. I mean, really just in terms of level of success across the platform, as I mentioned, cross country. They hosted their regional here last Friday. They have qualified for nationals. They're ranked 9th in the country. Soccer played in the NCAA first round at Duke last Friday. We'll have Carly Nelson along in just a moment, but just a great fall sports season and still more to come.
Mike, it's been terrific, and it's always so gratifying to see success happen for our students and coaches because we know how hard they work. But as we sit here today, it's hard to argue that that we've ever really had a fall quite like this. We were looking back and trying to see historically, but to have this many teams, be in the top 25 and competing, in NCAA tournaments. I think it's starting to show this is who we are. Football gets a tremendous amount of headlines as they should, but it is so great to see our other fall sports just right there with them and competing at such a high level.
Yep, sure is. And volleyball ranked 16th in the current poll. They defeated number 22 Washington State, fell to number 13 Washington, but those were on the road last weekend, so they're still in great shape to host a first weekend of NCAA competition. Well,
we're right in the thick of that. It's been unbelievable. Best team, these 5-game thrillers. Unfortunately, we came out on the wrong side in this last one, but it was like a 22-21, and a 15-point match.
Right.
So we're right where we want to be. Hoping that we can get that hosting position. That's what we're going to fight for. We got big home games coming up this weekend. We'll celebrate that senior class here on Sunday. And again, excited for everyone and really appreciative of our fans too that have really supported these Olympic sports.
Right.
We've had great attendance across the board. Volleyball, just a fantastic year too in attendance. Our new soccer stadium people have been coming out. So a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, you and I were here last, and football was just coming off that loss to USC, and we're like, how's this thing going to play out? Because all this hype, and you wondered, but they're 9-1. They now have control of the Pac-12 South after taking care of UCLA last weekend, ranked 7th AP, 8th coaches poll, and I know they get a lot of hype, but still, just to see this football program under Kyle Whittingham, where it is right now, what's ahead of them the next month or so, pretty exciting times.
Well, all you can ask of a football team is to give it everything they have.
Right.
And tune it out and go play. And I can't recall ever being around a group of student athletes who literally personify that. It's not that they're not excited about what's being said and written. But they've been dealing with this now really since the spring. Mm-hmm. And to watch them be so workmanlike in their approach to getting ready for every opponent. Now, of course, we know where that starts. It starts with Kyle Whittingham and the way he mentors and leads these young men. But it's also such a tribute to them as students. We know we have upperclassmen leadership that's really, really good. We have freshmen and sophomores too that are buying in. So it's a moment that as I told the all staff this morning in a meeting, let's really take a moment to just reflect on the success of our teams right now, the work that's being put in, but also enjoy it. We all have to work hard. Whit says it all the time, if you're not ready for a Pac-12 game, it's going to be a tough day. And so, again, we've got Arizona coming up this week. We've got Colorado to close the season in terms of the regular season, and what's next, who knows. But exciting time. And coming off that UCLA game, just a packed stadium.
Yes.
The weather kind of finally helped. I think our fans didn't have to pull out ponchos or heavy jackets this time around, so I was happy for that. But just what an amazing night and incredible effort.
Yeah, his phrase has been respect the process for years. And when you hear players say those same words just like he has, you can tell right there the buy-in has taken place, and these guys understand it's not just about 1 week or one practice. It's a process that started last spring with this group, and the resolve really came through early in the Pac-12 season, and just fun to see them where they are. By the way, for fans interested in going to the Pac-12 championship game, also the bowl game, don't know where that is yet, but pre-orders are being taken now, and that gives you priority over everyone else once the announcements are made. So contact your ticketing reps, go online to utahtickets.com or call 801-581-UTIX and get your orders in early as we look forward to the postseason, Mark. Going to be a fun time coming up in December.
Well, it's going to be great, and we just always, like we did last year and, of course, in previous years, the call to action. Mm-hmm. We know it's a busy time of year for everybody, but it's so important for Ute Nation to show up and show out at these bowl games. The information is out there. Like you say, clarity will come eventually, not today, but clarity will come. But we just ask everybody to really pay attention and to join us because we need you.
All right, just a quick mention on winter sports. We'll get more to them in our upcoming shows, but men's basketball, how about that? 3-0. Win at Nevada, took care of Minnesota at home. They're off the Myrtle Beach this weekend. Women's basketball got their first win Monday over Eastern Washington. That's a very young team that's maturing for Lynn Roberts. And on the recruiting front, great news last week. The men's team was ranked number 7 in the entire country by 24/7 Sports. Women's basketball ranked 20th by ESPN with their signing class. Also in gymnastics, Tom Farden. 3 elite-level competitors coming. So the 3 big winter sports teams had an excellent week last week, and excited to see more of them in the coming months.
Yeah, just, basketball, the Minnesota game was fantastic. Again, really appreciative of our fans. They really came out. It was a loud environment, and they came back after a real heavy, good start by us. But our crowd helped keep the guys' energy level at a high rate. We're going to be tested big time at Myrtle Beach coming up, as you mentioned, Mike, and that's great. That's what you want. We've got these 11 non-conference games to get ready for the conference season. So, I'm probably like many others. I had to bring my program into the game.
Yes.
I'm getting to know these young people off the court, but on the court, I need to say who's that, and that's well for Lynn's teams too. There's a lot of new faces, but with that comes a lot of excitement and energy, and really, really great young people on both sides, men and women's, in terms of just how they're handling their business off the court. So I imagine we're going to see a lot of success on the court from both those teams, and encourage everybody to come out and watch them play.
All right, some business to get to, Mark. The Ken Garff Performance Zone plans moving along, and the sales process now underway for the new areas in that part of the stadium in that south end zone. A preview center opening soon in the lobby area of the Rice Cycle Stadium ticket office, so check that out in the coming weeks. Also, a website has been launched, KenGarffPerformanceZone.com. There's a link at the top of the UtahUtes.com website, so you can sign up for an insider's list. But exciting times, Mark, that the sales process actually underway for this new south end zone that will open for the 21 season.
Yeah, the Ken Garff Performance Zone is on schedule. A lot of planning, a lot of work, a lot of design by a lot of great people. So we're excited about where we're at. We are, like you say, getting into the next phase, which is going to start taking out the individual type seating options. We're going to really want to meet with people on that. I am committed and will remain so to be as transparent, to get all the information out. I know there's a lot of questions, and encourage everybody to call in to us and ask questions, but we're also going to be very proactive with getting information out. It starts with that website. Very, very cognizant of incredible folks that sit in the south end zone right now. I want to make sure that we answer their questions, obviously, and everything we can do. And I've been told all our staff to make sure we're reaching out to everybody. But we're excited about where it's at. And you're going to see some activity there after the end of this season. We're going to start digging back there, getting ready for, as you say, the 21 opening.
All right. One note I want to make sure doesn't get overlooked. This came out just after our last podcast, but the NCAA graduation success rate was released in mid-October. 94% of Utah student-athletes graduated within 6 years of enrollment. That's the highest GSR of any Power 5 public institution. That's pretty high praise for the job being done by you and all the folks here in academics. Tremendous news.
Well, it's very exciting, and of all the things we've talked about, probably the number one most impressive stat, that the young people coming in the University of Utah to compete at the highest of levels in this country are also graduating now at the highest of levels in this country. It puts us right up there in the top of the league. You mentioned the public school, but it's just what I think about when you say that number, and of course we're coming off a year where we were also in the mid-90s, is the effort that the student athletes have put in, and know that it is the thing that matters. The thing must be the thing, but also the support and the leadership that they're provided from their coaches and to our academic staff. When numbers like that happen when it all comes together. Now we're just going to keep trying to get that higher, and we'll work on every single kid's important that comes in here, and we're going to continue to maintain and improve upon those numbers.
All right, some other campus-wide news. The U was granted membership into the prestigious Association of American Universities. Utah now one of 65 members, only 34 of those in Power 5 conferences. Mark, I know that's been talked about on this campus for a long, long time, and to see it finally happen, that is tremendous for the entire University of Utah campus.
Yeah, it's an accomplishment that has been the dream of many people, faculty, staff for years. And I was so happy for President Watkins when she got the phone call. I've been able to be in different settings that Academy. It's a very emotional moment. It does, like you say, it's the elite of the elite. Mm-hmm. The degree values that went up the moment that occurred will be explained, I think, by the university going forward in a lot of different ways. And for our space, for our coaches to be able to talk about not only competing in the Pac-12, but now you're a member of an AAU institution is really, really important. But really, congratulations to so many people who made that happen.
Also, one more note, the John M. Huntsman family is so involved in athletics over the years, and they made a huge donation, $150 million to create the Huntsman Mental Health Institute a while back. As we said, they've been involved in athletics, but to see the Cancer Institute now, the Mental Health Institute, this family has done so much for so many people.
Well, they're incredible people. It's been such a joy to get to know them. Since I arrived here a year and a half ago, the gift was stunning. Transformational in terms of the approach to mental health to augment already incredible work going on in this university, but now even more so. And just another step in the stigma being wiped away, and let's treat this like we do any other health crisis in our country. Mm-hmm. But they've always been leaders. Appreciate them because they've lifted our program for so many years too.
Right.
And what an amazing moment for the university.
All right. Some great interviews coming up. And Mark, I'm going to step away for a moment. Carly Nelson of the women's soccer team coming up. I'll also catch up with Ashley Lear from academics. That's when we continue with the Hear from Harlan podcast in just a moment.
Time now for Utah's head man to catch up with one of Utah's star student athletes. Once again, here's Utah Athletics Director Mark Harlan on the Hear It From Harlan podcast.
Well, as always, the best part of this whole deal doing the podcast is when we have a chance to talk to a great student athlete. And Carly's here from our soccer team, and it's an incredible opportunity. I don't think we've had this situation before where we're going to talk to Carly, who just finished her competitive career, which is a real interesting thing our student athletes have to go through. And boy, it ended like 5 minutes ago too. So Carly, thanks for being here. Really, really glad you're taking some time with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, like I said, let's get into some soccer. So, senior year, all-star goalie for us. I'm going to take everybody listening back to about 8 days ago when the announcement on the television came through that Utah made it, and what that felt like for you and your teammates.
Oh my God, I've never experienced something like that in my life, because we went into it not knowing that we even had a chance. We all thought that it was over, we were done, and we've all come to peace with it. And so sitting in there with everyone not knowing, it was pure excitement and also like a little bit of shock and just disbelief that we made it and we had another opportunity to play with each other again.
Yeah, I had a chance to go over, and I was in the back of the room. I don't know if you caught me back there, and I was nervous too. It looked like it was one of those 50-50 deals. And when the BYU site came up and we weren't there, I think there was kind of a collective, oh boy, because we tend to see that with some of our teams. BYU coming here, we go there, depending on what's going on. And then when it flashed up in the Duke Regional, I don't think I've seen. I can tell you from. I don't think I've ever seen just such joy, and you just said it really well. It wasn't so much the tournament, it was another chance to travel and compete and be together. Boy, that really came across. Mm-hmm. That was great. So then you guys go to Duke, a good Duke team. I know you guys played them a couple years ago. For folks that didn't get a chance to see the game, talk us a little bit about that game.
This past game?
Yes.
Okay, so we go Duke. It's really cold there. The East Coast is it hits differently. It's very humid cold, so that was different.
Right.
Whenever it's cold for me, it's hard because I'm a goalkeeper. I stand there, and it's just it's bitter. But before the game, we always have this pregame ritual where we dance, And everyone was going crazy. Like, I've never seen people dance like that before. I was dancing as hard as I've ever danced because, like, it might be my last chance. I might as well just have some more fun. And
Right.
so there was that whole atmosphere. And then we get out on the field, and it's just, there wasn't a lot of people there. But just knowing the fact that we were in the tournament and people were watching outside of us, that's a really cool experience to have. And I remember my freshman year, we had that, but like, you're a freshman, everything goes over your head.
Sure.
So you didn't really realize how cool it was. And just being there again and being older and just having more perspective, it was a really cool opportunity to see, like, wow, we're really here again. We're really doing it. This is really cool. Not a lot of teams are here. Not a lot of girls have this opportunity. And it was just I was kind of just taking it in, just all in, and just being like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you do that, because a lot of times I think with student athletes, the moment, like I think you said it well, freshman year, oh, this is going to be like it is every time. And you realize through being a student athlete for 4 years, like, every year is different. The work is always the same. But I think you and your senior class should really be proud of the fact that, you know, you got us back into the tournament and you've set the stage for the program going forward. So thank you for the incredible work. And let's not forget the conference that you guys are fighting for, and the wins that you had to have down the stretch to make that tournament. There's no question you had to have those results, or else that room was a little different last week for the tournament. So, well, let's talk a little bit about you and what's next. This gets into the issue of, okay, you've been a competitive student athlete. Everything's programmed and you're grinding to everything. So what's next for you?
I want to play pro, hopefully in the NWSL. If not, then overseas. Whatever's fine. I just want to have the chance to continue to play soccer, travel, have some fun, be a young adult, traveling, doing what I love. Finish up with school. Maybe I'll get into real estate. I don't know. It's something that don't have to be tied to a job for a while, but mostly just want to play pro and, like, really go for that. And I think it would be a fun way to live.
Let me ask you a question, put you on the spot a little bit.
Right.
The experiences that you had here, and not just through your coaches and your teammates, but also the different support staff, whether it be in our mental health area, our academic area, all that stuff. Do you feel leaving here that you're prepared for whatever comes next?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Our school, and just, like, in our athletic, like, program and, like, the resources that we have, they are so good. And sometimes you don't really realize that, like, the years and, like, whatever you're doing, you're just kind of going through it until you're done and you're like, wait, I've had this so good. I've had everything I need at my fingertips, like a phone call, a text, anyone I could call, and they'd be like, yeah, I'm here to help you. Like, everyone's been here to help me, and they've, like, shown the way. And so I feel like, especially coming from this school and this, like, department and athletic department, then, like, I have so much that I can just take into the real world.
And you're ready for it.
I'm ready for it, yeah.
That's professionally playing or professionally selling real estate. And you know, that really gets into, I think, just one of the more courageous storytelling that I've seen in my career. And for those of you that haven't read the iCarly article that was, and still is, on our website, I encourage everybody to go to. And we don't have to get into all the specifics of that. I'm just interested, because I want people to go and read it, but I'm just interested in your thought process in telling that story, because it's such an amazing tale of overcoming adversity, overcoming obstacles, all of those but emerging as yourself and an incredible version of yourself. But just talk to me about the courage for you to come forward and tell that story.
Honestly, it was kind of more like a therapeutic thing. And also, like, I wanted to help others who might have been in the same situation or were in the same situation as me, and maybe just give them a little bit of, like, courage or, like, reassurance and stuff that things do get better and with time. But also, it was really therapeutic for me to just be able to be like, hey, like, this is what happened to me. This is, like, what I've been through. And, like, I love every moment of it. Like, the journey and everything has been beautiful. And, like, I've absolutely fallen in love with the person I am. And I wouldn't, like, take anything back, because it's made me into the person who I am today, which I love very much. And I just wanted to be able to share my story and be, like, vulnerable for the others out there who maybe aren't comfortable sharing that and comfortable being vulnerable, and for them to, like, have someone else that's like, oh, hey, like, we can connect, we can relate there. like she can do it, like I can do it, like things get better or whatever the case may be. And so that was just kind of my thought process behind it.
Well, it's truly a remarkable thing that you did, and as we talked a little bit about before we began taping this, it's had an impact well beyond the walls of this department. The impact in the Pac-12. I've got stories already being told to me about other student athletes that have read it, but I think it goes beyond student athletes. I think there's people all over the state of Utah and beyond that are really reading that story. And you should be, you can leave legacies in a bunch of different ways. If you remember when I first got here, we got everyone the shirt, Leave a Legacy.
Yeah.
Wow, did you leave a legacy of telling that story? And I think it brings a lot of people to realize that they can do the same. So really appreciate you for that. So let me ask you a question.
All right.
Getting back and closing on soccer. You guys got us to the tournament. The conference will always be the conference, but tell me the program that you're leaving behind here. What's your vision of the future?
Very high expectations. We're hoping as like senior class that the program going forward will always make it to the tournament and we'll always have a really good season. Not just like in season, but like preseason, and just take every game very seriously so we can make it back to the tournament and just build the program up.
So you're going to be one of those alums that are going to be emailing me, hey, let's go. Your expectations are high. Well, that's exactly what we expect too. And thank you for everything you do, and good luck, and we're always here for you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Carly.
And welcome back to the Hear from Harlan podcast. Mark will step away for a moment. I'm pleased to be joined now by Ashley Lear of our academics department to tell us about the new initiative, the Ute Academy, that was launched over the fall. So, Ashley, first of all, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
I know this was a big initiative Mark wanted to get going when he came on board a little over a year ago, and really wanted to help us do a better job of developing our student athletes, not just for their time here, but also their time after at the U. So just tell us a little bit about this program and what it's all about.
Yeah, of course. So kind of the three main things we want to get out of this program is our student athlete development, particularly preparing them for their life after sports. Second, the community impact and engagement. And then third, our service component.
Okay. Tell us a little bit more about why those three areas are so important to developing well-rounded student athletes and eventually college graduates.
Yeah, absolutely. So they already come to Utah, get a great athletic, a great academic experience. We want to make sure they leave, like you said, as well-rounded individuals. So the academy, our four pillars of the academy are career and professional development. We want to make sure that they are connecting with employers, they're connecting with former student athletes who can serve as mentors to help them make that transition when the time comes. Our second pillar is leadership development, to make sure we're developing great leaders on and off the field. Third, personal development, which we launched a couple new student groups focusing on, social justice and equality issues, wellness issues. And then finally, our fourth pillar is community service, to make sure they're getting out in the community. There's great ambassadors for the university and giving back to the community that gives so much to them.
Very good. One of the things that kind of jumped out to me as I looked over the press release is, this program really works around them coming from high school and kind of changes as they evolve from their freshman through senior year. And I mean that by, as freshmen, you're working on, how do you organize your time, and some things that are more towards, here's how you get through college the next 4 or 5 years. But then as you transition to their latter years, it becomes more on finding a job, networking. And to me, it seems like you guys have done a pretty good job of really covering a wide spectrum of things to really help them. I'm guessing that was sort of the blueprint for this program.
Yeah, and we kind of put it together. We really wanted to structure it so it was relevant for where they are in school, like you said. So we created 2 tracks, a red and a white track, and have various requirements based on their year in school. So like you said, the freshmen come in, we have a summer bridge course where we kind of introduce the academy, but again, focus a lot on how you acclimate to college, the study skills that they need. And then we throw in a little bit with career and internships as well to kind of get it on their radar. And then as the program progresses, we do focus more with NX Athlete, which is our career and mentor platform. We have partnered with, branded as NX Utes, where we really start taking them out on site visits and really connecting them to employers and supporters of athletics in the community so they can start building those relationships.
Now, it's important to emphasize, it's not like you guys haven't done anything along these lines before, and this is completely new. You've had various programs over the years, but this is sort of a relaunch, I think, of what you've been doing, and a lot has been added. So what makes the Ute Academy different from things you've done in the past in this area?
Yeah, sure. I think it is much more comprehensive. I think
Okay.
in the past we did have some great programming, but kind of with this vision of Mark's is to really launch a comprehensive program where we really worked hard to create a lot of new initiatives and bring it under one umbrella and really brand it and launch it as the Ute Academy. So, coaches, people in the community hear about it, and it all means the same thing to everybody. And we really wanted to cover all facets of student-athlete development, like I talked about, professional leadership, personal, and community service.
Well, I know it's early in the process, but any feedback from student athletes so far on what they think of the program?
Yeah, I think they're really excited about it. I think it's great with Kendall, Gianna, and I. They know who to go to for this support, and so we've had a lot of students already come and say, "Hey, I've been wanting to connect with so and so in the community." So we're helping set up those job shadowing experiences, and I think it's as more people hear about it and more people get involved with the programs we have, I think it will continue to grow. So we're really excited.
Well, it's exciting stuff, and I think the thing I liked about the best is there's been a commitment from a staffing standpoint. You oversee the program, you have some help, and before other people were involved, but it just seems like from a staffing standpoint, financial commitment, it's a new level of commitment from Mark and the staff, and that's great news.
Yeah, we're really appreciative. It's been great to pull Kendall in and then work with Gianna down at football, and the three of us have really enjoyed having the resource and having the staff, because it's a really collaborative initiative, and so it's been really helpful to have the staffing and that support from our senior staff.
All right, the Ute Academy is a new program. There's more details on UtahUtes.com, and Ashley Lear oversees that aspect of our student-athlete academic program. Ashley, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks so much, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right, again, that's Ashley Lear from the academic staff, back with more of the Hear from Harlan podcast in just a moment. And welcome back to the November edition of the Hear from Harlan podcast, along with Mark Harlan. I'm Mike Lagashow, back in the chair, and some great interviews, Mark. I loved your conversation with Carly Nelson, just to listen to her talk about the vulnerability and how the process of telling her story, iCarly, on our website was really therapeutic for her and just what she had been through. But to hear her say, I had tremendous support on this campus that helped me through that. What an amazing story. One, for her to share it. Two, the impact it's having, as you talked about during the interview, just really a tremendous story with Carly Nelson this fall.
Well, it was gratifying to have her here today. She's just a very special young lady, and high-level competitor. I do believe she'll continue to play soccer at the professional level. But I think what she did by telling the iCarly story, and again, I encourage people to go on our website and read that, was about the bravest thing I've seen in a long time, because it's hard to talk about your struggles. But she did it with a focus on helping others, but it was also gratifying, as you said, to hear her say the word like therapeutic. And it was helpful for her too, which I had gotten that feedback from people around her. So she's awesome. And it was just so great to see someone like that, have the chance to play in the NCAA tournament. Really proud of her.
Yeah, fun way for her to wrap up her career, which she's one of the all-time best in program history. And
she's incredible.
Her legacy will live on in many ways on this campus. Carly Nelson, great to have you catch up with her. And Mark, also great to hear from Ashley Lear, a former student athlete. I know this Ute Academy is a program you championed since you stepped on campus, and just great to get some insight from Ashley on what's happening with that.
Well, it goes to that same old saying I always do. If you want to get something really done, hire a former student athlete. Ashley and the group around her are terrific. But yeah, it's a program that is very serious to us. It's our obligation to make sure our young people are ready to go and roll when they're done. We were doing a lot of this incredible work before, don't get me wrong, but housing it all in one place and then adding different elements to it has been a real focus of the administration. But very proud of Ashley and the group that work with her on it. And I think we're only going to see more and more output from it as we go forward.
Well, Mark, the last time you and I taught this name, image, and likeness thing was really just heating up, and talk about how quickly things can change. October 29th, the NCAA Board of Governors voted unanimously to allow student athletes to be paid for the name or for the use of their name, image, and likeness. They need to create rules by January of 2021, and you played a big part in hosting a meeting with Senator Mitt Romney and the other ADs in the state here last Friday. I imagine that was some pretty good conversation, but just amazing how quickly this has really just taken off and moved forward.
Well, it's changes upon us, Mike, and I think that we have to lead in this space, and we have to figure out correct paths. It's very complicated and remains so. You mentioned the NCAA Board of Governors coming out with the general support of it, with also parameters and guardrails, if you will, so that we keep with the collegiate model. None of us are interested in a pay-for-play option right now. Who knows what the day will come. But I think what's happening in the conversations, including with Senator Romney, is a lot of thoughtful paths that could make sense, right? That are regulated appropriately, with the understanding that we all have to be on a level playing field. We can't have 24 different state laws that are saying 24 different things when we're trying to also run a nationwide competitive program.
Right.
We have to look at that and figure out ways to make sure recruiting and inducement aren't dramatically altered in this space. So we have a lot of things to talk about. I continue to remain positive that thoughtful conversation will lead to change that does not prohibit the collegiate model to go forward, whereby getting an education and coming to a campus and maturing and competing is what this is all about. But Senator Romney was great. He's very interested and understands the importance of college athletics, the dynamics of it, but he also wants to make sure that those that are in a socioeconomic situation that is less than others are perhaps more thought of in our process.
Right.
And that's really brought him to the issue, and NIL is a way to do it. He's got some other thoughts that I think could be really good too, but he'll remain a partner in this because, Mike, I think where this might go is some type of federal legislation, since we have all these different state laws. And we're going to need a champion like him and others that are willing to kind of craft and meet a place where we can take care of our student athletes, but at the same time keep the model in place.
All right. Definitely a new era for college athletics as this unfolds, and we'll have more in coming podcasts. Let's get to some Twitter questions, Mark, from some of our fans. Can't get to all of them. Thank you to all of you who contributed over the weekend. First one, Mark, asking about the involvement Utah has from an administrative side when it comes to networks picking which football games to air. Is that something they can influence in any way at all? we only have a short amount of time here, Mark.
No, I mean, it's listen, here's the deal. I mean, we're under a contract. We have about 3.5 4 years left on the current contract that gives the networks full right to set your game times. And that's like it is in every conference in America. It's no different in the Big Ten. It's no different in the Pac-12, et cetera. I think, though, what's important to note on that is that we're living in the contract, and we've all experienced, the problems with it. And so, when it comes to the nature of the question, where I'm going to be and others in conference leadership roles is make sure that we understand going into the next negotiation what's really important. We know the more you give, the more you get, right? But we really have to talk about what that truly means. Right now, just taking it to this year, we're in a situation, for example, that we're going to have our third straight week of the 6-day selection window. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's the 3 times in a year where you find out 6 days before what your kickoff time is. It's never happened before. Usually it's spread out through the fall, but to have it this many times. So as you and I sit here today, we have no idea when we're going to kick off for the Colorado game. It's already challenging. It's a Thanksgiving Saturday.
Right.
So
right.
Those kind of things matter. Of course, there's been a lot of print about the late night games and what that does. So I guess the point of all this is that we're going to have to really be clear what is important to us. And if it means we take less because of this, those kind of conversations are going to be more understood going forward. But to answer the question specifically, University of Utah and no one else in our conference has any say in game time or which network you're chosen. It is solely based on the contracts. And now, does that mean afterwards I don't place a phone call or two? That makes me feel better. Carly used the word therapeutic. Perhaps,
there you go.
Perhaps I would use the therapeutic, but that's the landscape as we're living it now.
Okay, a great question from the fans, just kind of looking to the inside of how this all happens. 2 more questions, Mark, I can kind of tie together. The good news is Utah football is in position to make the playoff. When that happens, people dissect your schedule, what you've done, what you can do the rest of the way. And some analysts have said, hey, the non-conference schedule might hurt Utah a bit when it comes down to those final couple of teams for that number 4 slot, for instance. So this fan asking, will there be some change now in emphasizing quality non-conference opponents to line up in the coming years? And also, would you be interested in playing a big-time opponent in an NFL stadium for kind of a Labor Day weekend kickoff type thing? Some thoughts on those from you?
Well, I think that we're starting to see some data points emerge from the committee. There's been now evidence. But it's funny. Every time you think you understand, let me ask you a question, Mike. If Oregon had played Montana State instead of Auburn, where do you think Oregon would be ranked right now?
You know what? The loss was first weekend, so let's say they beat Montana or
let's
Montana
say they're
State.
undefeated right now.
Right. That's a great question.
You know what I mean? So,
right.
so I raised that as they went out and played Auburn. They lose in the final minute, and they're 6. You know what I mean? So,
right.
I think what that all speaks to is you have to be very strategic, and you have to have a good mix
right.
in there. I like where we're going with Utah's football scheduling. Certainly, fans have noticed that we're adding some P5 opponents. We've added Florida, we've added Arkansas, we've got Baylor already coming up. So, you're starting to see some of that. And that is influenced by Whit and I talking and feedback that we both get from committee members. Because you want to make sure that if you have that kind of success, you're where you need to be.
Right.
I don't know if it's going to go to 8. There's probably some thought that it might be, and that would change it again. But we are looking at a data-driven approach to our scheduling, and I think that we're going to strike the right balance going forward.
Yeah, I like what your point is about moving forward. We've got Florida, Arkansas, Houston, some teams coming up, but you got to be careful not to overschedule. If you lose a game or
we've
two,
seen that.
Yeah,
we've absolutely seen
Yep.
overscheduling in all our sports. Right, it's not just particular to football. And then on the other part of that question, the neutral games are something that the program has analyzed in the past. The challenge with those neutral games is they kind of come at you fast.
Right.
You usually get that phone call that says, "Hey, do you want to play in this game?" Well, schedules are done, so it speaks to how far out in advance we need to schedule to keep ourselves open. That's not to suggest you can't make some adjustments to your schedule, but it's not easy to always do that.
Right.
But we're definitely not shutting anything down. It just has to be right for Utah, has to be right for our fans. Because the other thing, Mike, that we're really looking at is, are we better to have 7 home games every year rather than this 7 to 6 pattern? With a sold-out stadium, with additional seating coming forward, and are we better just to lock in at 7? That's another thing that we're really talking about and analyzing. So all those things come into the thought process.
And there's only so many dates you can fill. I mean, it's not like basketball where you squeeze in a game here on a Tuesday or Wednesday football. You've got your weeks, you got your 12 games over 13 or 14 weeks. It's hard to juggle stuff around like you mentioned, but some good questions from our fans, and we appreciate their interest in the show. Well, Mark, that'll do it for us, unless you've got some more comments. Thanksgiving just around the corner.
No, again, maybe in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I just want to appreciate everybody in our fan base. It's been spectacular. If I thought last year's bar during the fall was set by our fans, boy, they've leaped over it this year. It's very gratifying, and it's just so noted by our coaches and our staff, and certainly our student athletes. People make a difference. You got incredible athletes like Harlan that come here in our scholarship, thanks to our donors that help support those efforts, our fans that are purchasing tickets. It's just from everybody here, just thank you for everybody's support, because that is the reason why we're having the kind of success we are.
All right, well said. Mark, happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you back here in December.
You too, buddy. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That'll do it for the November edition of the Hear from Harlan podcast. Thanks to Carly Nelson of soccer, also Ashley Lear for joining us, and for Mark Harlan, I'm Michael Agasholt. Until next time, so long, everybody.
This has been the Hear It from Harlan podcast. Subscribe and listen all year long as we keep you up to date on Utah athletics.